Thoughts and views of this podcast and the sole views of the curators of this podcast is not the views of United States Postal Service.
How does he do it?
Yes, On the Route Podcast, episode 20. And on this one, we're going to be talking about the pay grade steps that go with being a city carrier. Yes, a city carrier, because that's what we are. So all you road carriers out there, please comment below. Let us know if it's exactly the same for you guys, which I believe it should be, but you never know. We would love to hear from you guys, as always. Before we even get started, let my brothers introduce themselves. Right now, one of our brothers is out handling some family things. Shout out to Aaron. You know what I mean? He's missed. Let him know in the comments that y'all missed him on this one. You know what I'm saying?
Yay.
But to my left,
it's Black. We back with more information. You know, letting people that's, you know, don't have that many years in, who don't understand the steps and how the pay grade works. You know, we got some good information for y'all. And, you know, my man Ron, where you at?
Let's be Morton, baby. We're going to tell you about the steps. They say as easy as 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. All right, let's talk about it.
And staying low key, or at least trying to be, it is your engineer, Rick Shine, checking in with y'all. You know what I mean? But we're going to be talking about the steps, the pay grade steps. If you're not from the post office, what that is we get paid by a certain degree of how many years we have in the post office. Every time your anniversary comes around of you being in the post office, you move up a step, meaning you get a pay increase. And we do ours based on the alphabet, correct, fellas?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's how you determine how much you're making as a base salary, meaning not OT included. It's just your regular, what you would get paid 8 hours for the day, 40 hours for the week, 80 hours for the pay period. And that's what we're going to be talking about this episode. So, but we're going to get into it.
All right. Before we get into that, well, you know, still has something to do with that. At the CCA, I was CCA for about almost 3 years, about 2 years and like 9 or 10 months. I was not aware the entire time that CCAs also had steps. Now, at the time when I was a CCA, they had step, I think it was BB, AA, and CC. They've recently, as of June 2021, got rid of step CC, and you just have BB and AA. So, CCAs come in at about $19.33 roughly.
Yeah, about $19 now. Yeah, before we used it was 17. It was 17
yeah.
a quarter.
Shit,
Wow. It was 15 when I came.
I'm about to say, when I started, it was about like 15.
When I started, it was 16. I think they like the last 2 years was 17. I think when the CCA got a new contract, the last contract it was 19. I think it's like about close to 18, 19 because they begging people to come to the job and they like, well, get whatever you want. You want 19? We'll give it to you.
And the people that's like not familiar with the terminology, CCA, that is a city carrier assistant. That's a person that helps the regular carriers. In the rural area, they call them RCAs, meaning rural carrier assistant, for the people that's not in the post office.
Yeah, but CCAs, they move up steps, I think it said, every 52 weeks. So it says, effectively June 1921, the step CC pay rate in Table 3 was eliminated. All CCAs at step CC as of the date will move into step BB, receiving 50 cent per hour raise. Step BB and its pay rate are the new entry step for new CCA hires. So it's weird. So you're going from BB to AA, which is weird because as regulars you go from A to B. With I don't know why they do it that way, but you move up.
I think because correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you guys can say something in the comments below if I'm right or wrong about this, but I believe that I forgot what that scale is called, but how they do it is AA starts before A, right? And BB starts before AA, and CC starts before BB. So it kind of it's almost like a bizarro type number system or letter system.
He did not use
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so you would start from ZZ and then go all the way up to AA, and then you jump to the regular alphabet. So I think that's I forgot what that metric system is called, or that letter system is called, excuse me. If you guys know in the comments below, please tell the people, inform us. But I believe that's what it is, where you start with the double letters before you do the single letters.
Yes, and also as CCAs, I didn't know we got raises outside of colons as well. And this basically says the difference in pay between BB and AA is probably roughly 50 cents. But, you know, they don't always do what they're supposed to do. But what I also didn't know as a CCA, you can always be a utility as a CCA, which as a CCA, we on different routes all the time anyway. But you can also get a utilities pay as a CCA. Meaning,
Never knew. I never would have knew.
Yep.
Wow.
So if you're at, you know, I think it's another 50 cents on top of that. So you'll be at, you know, 50 cent higher than whatever other CCA at your current step, whether it be BB or AA. Which, you know, this is news to me upon research. But as far as steps as a regular, when you make regular after, after being a CCA, your first step is A. You'll be considered a city carrier grade 2, and the starting salary for that is $45,911. And upon each, you gain roughly about 2,000 each step, roughly.
So wait, hold on. So as step A, you're at 45,000, right?
Yes.
And so you mean to tell me that if somebody off the street decided to be working at United States Postal Service, and they did 2 years as a CCA and they became a regular, their starting salary would be 45 grand and some change.
Yes.
The average bachelor's degree person that graduates from college is what, about 35 now?
30.
I thought it was 40.
About 40?
It might just be 40 now. I think it might be closer.
So you're already making $5,000 more than somebody who spent 4 years of college that has to pay off debt
At entry level.
at entry level. And the college kid who has a bachelor's degree has to pay the college education back, which probably cost him 6 figures.
Yep.
But he's only starting out at 40,000
You're starting at this for free.
for free. And you could have left high school in June, joined the post office in July, and then by July 2 years later, you're making $45,000. Meanwhile, your contemporary is in their junior year of college, still accumulating debt.
Yeah, so by the time they get out of college, you'll be 2 steps higher and 10 grand more than them possibly.
I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead, Andy.
So, and then the utility, when they first make regular, roughly makes about a good almost $1,000 more than the regular carrier. It's a little less than $1,000. So, at step A as a regular carrier with single route is $45,911. A utility is at $46,875 at step A.
So how much more is that as a utility? Like, what is like an extra 1,000 some change?
A little less.
I feel like they're not being paid properly because as a utility, we talked about this in a previous episode about utilities. As a utility, like, you are doing 5 different routes at any given time because you're responsible to carry, the route when the main regular isn't there. So if I'm in charge of 5 different routes, know how to case them, know how to carry them, and almost imitating the regular carrier on each one of these routes, you mean to tell me that the pay difference is only what you just said it was a minute ago? Like,
it's like almost like 1,500, like probably like you said, like 1,000.
Yeah, they can do better than that.
Well, it's like it's a little less than $1. It's like, so they'll probably be making
we
about
said like it's 88 cents.
$900.64. That's
Yeah.
the difference.
That's not enough. Yeah, I'm doing 5 different situations. Like, you know what I mean, at any given time.
So
And let me say this, like, certain utilities, you guys that are utilities, you can comment below, let people know. Some of you guys have truck routes that are part of your key. So any given day, you're not just carrying a route. You could be just driving a truck doing relays and dropping off packages. Because there's a difference between being a truck driver carrier and then being a regular foot carrier. And when I mean by truck driver carrier, I'm talking about the guy that drives the big bread truck that only does packages and drops off relay mail for city carriers. Like he doesn't actually do actual door-to-door letter deliveries. So as a utility, you have to know that side of the job and the regular side of the job. And we only talking about a $900 difference.
Yeah, and I can speak on that because I am a utility, and I feel like sometimes I am getting kind of raped and kind of screwed over because also with that being as a utility, I can do a route where, like we talked previously with the episode, I can do a route completely that's not on my key, and still, why am I getting paid the same way where the average carrier can't do what I do because I know more routes in the station than anybody else besides my fellow utilities, basically. And then, like I said, the pay doesn't match up basically at all. It doesn't match the performance. Like I said, not everybody's hold accountable. I mean, you might have some crappy utilities here and there, but still, it should be given more. Like I said, if we're doing more, why are we basically getting, kind of bleeding us dry, basically, more so? I don't understand that. Why are we getting bleeding dry for that? And we should be getting more for that. At least, like, something got to give.
Yeah. Well, roughly, we go from step A to, once you're maxed out is with step P, which would be the rate at a regular carrier at $75,091, and as a utility it'd be $76,668. Roughly, max out is what, 12, 13 years, somewhere around there.
I think they pushed it. Wasn't it 15? How they pushed it up?
They pushed it to 15.
I don't think
they might have pushed.
I didn't hear anything about that.
I think it's something they pushed up. I gotta double check that. I thought they pushed it up, but
well, if anybody out there knows in the comments, let us know. As far as I know, it's 12, 13 years. If it's more, let us know. That would be crazy, but let us know. But as far as those, those are the numbers for the pay scale steps for salary. But if you want to break it down in like a hourly rate, starting as a regular carrier, getting a single route is $23.05. And as a utility is $23.53. So roughly, utility is only getting 48 cents extra to do 5 routes. Can
you say highway robbery?
Stick like I always say, man, America, you're gonna make it hard for you, man.
That's ridiculous. And the max out rate is for a single route is $37.70. The utility is $38.49.
Like, let me just dive off the deep end for a second.
Oh man, here you go.
So you're talking about giving us raises in cents, right? Mm-hmm. When there was an excess amount of money, like when our previous president gave out stimulus checks, they claimed that the market was inflated, right? So in order to drive the market down, you had to raise the prices. To me, that sounds like y'all got too much money and y'all living y'all best life too much. I got to keep you under my thumb and oppressed. So let me just raise the price of everything. We, in our country, we have money that is not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by silver. It's not backed by oil. We just print money out of thin air, and we tell you because it has a number 5 on the bill that's worth $5. So how is it that we still pay our employees and our blue collar workers cents per hour? You know what I mean? Like in terms of raises, and when we literally, it's not like our economy is based on natural resources. It's just based on whatever y'all feel like giving us.
Yeah, because it works for them. It don't work for us, but it works for them.
Yeah, I just think that is really, really effed up.
But how they try to make up for stuff like that, quote unquote inflation, is the colons they give us every so often. COLAs is the cost of living allowance, which is supposed to be based on the rise of inflation. Now, the numbers never match. It never does.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
It never does, because I could look at our colas. Let's see what ours was for last year. What was it? 2.1, I think it was.
Yeah, and inflation did not go up 2.1.
No, way more than that.
So, and what he's trying to say in reference term, if inflation goes up 12%, we'll get that cost of living will be 2%. That doesn't add up.
So, it never, it never pans out. So, and yeah, we got a cost of living raise. I think it was. They say you're supposed to get one in March that was $208. I don't know what the percentage of that measures out to, but I'm saying we get one every so often. I don't think we get them every year because we all.
No, it's only when there's a drastic change in cost of living, which usually happens every 5 years.
No, we've been getting them. Right now. We've been getting them since 2020. We've been getting them every year since before COVID. We got one 2020. We got two in 2020. We got two in 21. 2 and 22.
We don't see that was them breaking it up though. Like in the contract that we got previously, they gave it. They told us what the overall percentage was, which I think was around like 5% total.
Wow.
And they broke it up in a 4-year span. So you got like 1.8 this year and 1.7 that year. So it averaged out to be what the total percentage was. That's how crazy it is. They can give you a 5% cost of living increase, and they'll spread it out over a 4-year period. So you don't even really see it per year.
Cause isn't that over right now too? I think in the last, like I said, the last of the years is over now. So like I said, the contract's up. It's over now.
Supposedly in March.
Yeah, so that's the last one we got. But I'm saying the contract's up now. So now they got to figure out what can they give us now because the contract's up now. So you have to give us something.
Yeah, they gotta go back.
Figure out. We got to go back to the drawing board.
The beauty of it on their side is that because we can't strike, they can just drag their feet.
So. Basically.
I'm sorry, but whoever signed off on us not being able to strike when it's contract time, I really and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Whoever signed that deal off, I don't care how long ago it was, the person probably could have signed it back in 18 whatever, you know what I mean, or 1920 or whatever, you know what I mean, after the Great Depression. It's probably more like after the Great Depression they probably did that. You know what I mean? But I hope whoever that person was that was like the president of like our like overall union in the post office back in that era, like I hope your family's like homeless now. Like I hope you guys are worth like 2 cents. Because you really sold out the entire post office when you, especially in the carrier craft, when you signed that agreement with the the management business side with the board of governors that if we don't get what we want, we can't strike. What is the purpose of having a union if you can't defend yourself properly? Because the best way to defend yourself is striking.
Yep.
Is that the first original 360 deal? Is that the first original one? Like the first one?
Probably part of it.
That's the grandfather.
Honestly, when you think about it, that might be probably the first crappy union job based deal I've probably ever seen, and I think we've probably ever even heard of. Because believe it or not, since we're talking about steps and we're talking about our steps are always based off what our union agrees with with the management side. A lot of people don't understand the concept of a union. You know what I'm saying? Like how it even got started.
Oh man.
So for the people out there that's not, in the post office who probably work at a different job and your job doesn't have a union and you're like, having a union job is great. It is. Having a union job is a very powerful thing, you know what I mean? Because it means that we can all bond together as blue collar employees and get fair treatment from the white collar side of the job, which is usually the bosses. How the inception of a union even came to be, and don't let them lie to you because they got these falsified stories out here to try to tell you about how the whole union thing started with, and we're talking about not just the post office, we're just talking about unions, worker unions, period, in America. How it really came into play was you didn't hear anything about a union until after slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being, before President Lincoln, signed the amendment to free the slaves, you didn't have to pay black people to work. or Native Americans. You could just, own them as property, and they were not considered to be human. They were treated the same as livestock. Once that was abolished, and it was only abolished because the North was not making any money considerably like the South was. So the South at Capitol Hill had more pull because they had the money, and a lot of the Northerners were like, "Yo, we don't like this imbalance. We got to do something because they're making way more money than we're making, so they're calling the shots, and we don't like that. And we want to tax them more, but they don't want to pay the taxes. So if we take away their commodity, which is the slaves, we can even the playing field." And of course, they didn't want to. The South wasn't trying to hear that, so that's how the whole Civil War thing started. So once they lost the Civil War and they took over, the North took over and they abolished the slavery thing. The white people who were blue collar people said, "Hold up a second. Like the amendment says that you have to now pay African Americans and Native Americans and whoever else that isn't Caucasian. You have to pay them a wage to do work. It never said you had to pay them a fair wage. It just said you had to pay them." Going back to language and contracts. So obviously the blue collar white person realized, yo, the white collar white person could literally hire this black person to do my job and pay him 50% less than he has to pay me, or even 75% less than he has to pay me, and still get the job done, which means he could fire me pretty much. No, we're not going to do that. So they created unions across all levels to say, look, all right, these people are people now. They have to work, fine, but you can only have so many of them here. And if you try to hire too many of them, we're not coming to work.
Sorry.
So the production stops.
Strike.
So, which is where strikes came from. So understand that, yes, a union is a very powerful thing. It's a very good thing. Having a union job is one of the best things you can have in this country, because this country is such a cutthroat country in terms of how they don't want to pay people for the work that they do. But understand the history of it. The reason that it even came into being is because the white collar American was threatened by the incoming workforce of black people getting paid. And they knew exactly what type of time the employer was going to be on. So they jumped in front of them to make sure that they didn't lose their job. So the original conception of a union was to make sure that not too many black people was getting good jobs. Just understand the history of it. Yes, it's changed. It doesn't represent that anymore, but it doesn't erase what the history was. But I just wanted to throw that out there, let y'all know that on the Route Podcast, we be doing this thing. We really be digging into these situations.
So yeah, what my man Rick Sean said is the truth.
Preach.
And, it's good information once again to let people know that we had to work hard to get where we are, and it wasn't easy, and they wasn't trying to give it to us. We had to work for it. So as far as the scales, like I said, the scales go from A to P, and roughly about 2,000 per step, and I say hourly probably roughly I think $1. That, like when I first made regular, they told us, they said each year you will, your anniversary you'll get $1 raise. Upon looking at the chart, it doesn't look like it's actually $1. I've been looking at this chart for about 2-3 days now, and I'm literally just noticing, like, all right, step A is technically at step A is $23.05 as a single route, and the next step B is $24.08. So technically, the next step you get $1.03, and then so technically it's about $1. It's about
there's nothing tangible you can buy that's $1.03 more.
Yeah, it's roughly about that.
I just don't. I just don't like how you really gotta wait, and it really don't come on your anniversary like you say. It'll come out of nowhere. It's probably, oh, hey, I'm here.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm glad you said that, Brandon. Because for the people that's not in the post office, usually when you have an anniversary, right, of you being in the post office or being in any job, you get your raise, like he said, on your anniversary. With our job, like for instance, my anniversary always happens in November because that's when I made regular. I don't get the actual step increase until March. Have it make sense?
Well, now that you say that, it says from step A to B, you move up a step every 46 weeks.
Wow. So every almost like what, like basically close to almost like hey, what?
Yeah. How many weeks in a year?
52. So it's
52.
like
So if you think you
it's
start,
11 months.
yeah, roughly. But once again, even though according to the chart, it's we know because we're here. It doesn't actually happen in 46 weeks. Like my anniversary date was in March, and usually, I guess it would say 1 year I got it in August. The following year I got it in like September. So I actually went over the year, but I know people that have went years without going up a step at all.
Wow.
Yeah. Like like my brother, where we were converted at the same time, same anniversary date. I'm a step higher than him. I don't understand how that's even possible because we should be at the same exact step because we got converted the same day. Like, mind you, I started in the post office before he did a CCA. I was a month ahead of him, but we made career the same day.
And for the people that's new to the job, how you know when you move up a step, if you're not checking on your light blue, you will get actual papers delivered to you in the mail that tells you what your new step is, what your new pay grade is. It goes over what your position is, which you already know. It's all as your station that you're currently at, your installation you belong to. It pretty much gives you your whole rundown, and it lets you know exactly like where you stand. So if you've not received that paper and it's been more than a year that you've been a regular, talk to your manager at your station or your postmaster at your station to find out exactly what step you're at. Because usually you get that letter in the mail letting you know that this is when your step has occurred, this is where you are now, this is what your pay is now as your base salary.
Before you used to able to look on light blue. Now you can't even see it anymore. I understand that now. Like, why are we getting that paper? Huh?
You talking about like to see your
yeah, like the option. It won't let. When I used to go to the option, it won't. It say something else.
Yeah, when you go to look at your actual pay stub on the side on the end where it says paid hours, it'd be like a circle blue cross.
Yeah.
You hit that and it will show you not only your salary but your current step.
Oh, no, I'm talking about what I'm saying. But my thing before, remember you could see like where it tells you like, all right, compensation from here and there. Basically, you can see it. You can see the whole category what they gave you like for it's like, all right, you got compensation for this raise, or we got that in third. It used to be a category thing. You can see everything. Huh?
You're talking about like the adjustments?
Yeah, like the adjustments and category. You can't even get to that now. I can't even see where, all right, I got a pay scale for this adjustment, that third. Like each, it tell you when they did it.
Like a detailed list of what.
Yeah, like I used to look for it because I know, all right, I got my raise here and there. I know to be expected. I couldn't see on light blue. I'm like, where is that to the point where I can see it to find it? I can't find on light blue. I just want them to stop making me giving you broken promises, basically like, oh, y'all don't get your money. I'm like, all right, I'll just sit there waiting like a kid on Christmas or somebody getting that. Well, it's going, it's eventually gonna come. I know it's gonna come. Then you see it one day. Oh, they finally paid me, huh?
No. When we decided to have this conversation and talk about the steps for most carriers that probably don't know exactly what it is or how it works or how much more you get paid each step. There was a time period prior to January 12th, 2013 where carriers got paid a whole lot more.
Yep.
And when I say a whole lot more, I'm talking like, remember I said step A was at $45,911. Step A prior to January 12th, 2013 was at $61,870.
Jeez.
So I'm trying to figure out, how do you drop down that much
It's
when
like
the work?
16 grand.
Yeah, how do you drop down 16 grand when the workload has increased? Because Amazon today is not the Amazon it was in 2012 and 2013. The amount of packages, and you road carriers out there, y'all know this. You city carriers that have park and loop routes, you know this. You guys that are truck driver, relay guys that deliver packages, you know this. Your package volume is not what it was 10 years ago. So how are we getting paid less and doing more work?
What's the famous quote? Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Exactly.
Now, now, if you want to break that down, I'm on the chart. It also has that in an hourly rate. Woo! Now, your hourly rate as entry level as a regular, for us is $23.05. Woo! Prior to January 12, 2013, it was $31.06.
God, that's almost an $8 drop. An $8 drop. Are you serious, dude?
And last time I checked, inflation has never went backwards.
No, never.
We've never had deflation.
That's all I say. Keep rising to the top.
I would love to have deflation. I'm talking to you people on Capitol Hill.
How much money we would keep? What?
Deflation would be
Bubba?
amazing.
And keep our pay? What?
But somehow we just keep going up in what we got to pay for, but we're not going up to compensate with, you know what I mean. Come on.
We sink into the bottom of the sea.
And which is crazy is Rick brought it to my attention before. Mind you, also in this chart, the max out at P for around that time period before, January 12th, 2013, your max out was 75,091. And currently, our max out is 75,091.
So somehow we
Makes
still
sense.
end up at the same number, but you didn't pay us the same through all the steps.
Well, then I think that before, then they stop them in the server. The while you just stop. I think somebody, like an older carrier said, the while they just stop is you got to pay the same thing. Like you weren't getting any more increases. Like it was nothing more they can give you. I think they were saying you barely get anything because you were already maxed out at that point. Now they kind of like transition back. All right, well, keep teasing along.
No, the funny thing is, I remember somebody was saying, like, for people that stay past 30 years, they're saying, like, oh, you guys are wasting your time. Like, you're not going to get any more money, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. This is a job that's based on hours per pay. Granted, we have a base salary for when you just do 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 80 hours a pay period. But you guys who are out there that are clerks, carriers, environmental techs, y'all know, when is the last time you've ever had a full year where you didn't have at least 400 overtime hours? So naturally, anybody who's staying past 30 years, they're not thinking about their base salary. They know their base salary is locked in. The overtime hours are spontaneous.
Yep.
They could get 500 overtime hours in a year possibly if they're at a crappy enough station. So that's why they're staying, because they have a situation where they're able to make X amount of dollars every single year because there's always something going on. Their extra work is always needed, and they're there to help. That's why they're sticking around. So please stop telling people that are 30 years in that you might as well just retire, man. No, if he's at a station where he's going to keep making all these extra overtime hours, that's why he's here. The objective of the game is to make money. I've yet to meet a carrier who was a second, third generation person that was strictly here for the passion. I've never met a single person. Like, listen, if you're listening to this episode, talking about the steps, the pay grade steps, hit the like button. Please comment below if you know a carrier who literally is here for the passion. I'm talking about when they was 5, they was like, yo, I want to be a mailman like my dad and my grandfather. Like, they got pictures of their grandpa in 1955 carrying the old school mail bag with the old school
It's a badge of honor.
shirt. And they got their dad right next to him in the picture, and then they got their own picture up there, like they riding. like this, like they family is synonymous with the United States Postal Service.
What's your aspiration? To be a mailman, damn. To
Like-
be a mailman.
Like in their high school yearbook, they literally have what I want to be as a United States Postal Service employee.
Or when we was in school, you remember they had career day.
Yeah.
Oh my
They
god.
they had a dad come through with the mail bag and the mail uniform, talking about the job, and they was telling all their friends, "That's what I'm gonna be when I grow
Yo,
up."
he's swinging the satchel about. Don't you want to be this?
So I've yet to meet somebody like that. Now I know a bunch of carriers who their mom carried, their dad carried, so they didn't have any quote unquote like extra like skill sets outside of the norm. So they realized, all right, look, I'm not really exceptional at anything outside of the regular. So when I'm done high school, I'm just do what my parents did, because naturally I was raised off of a postal employee's paycheck. And we lived a good life. We had a nice house. We went on vacations. We did this, that, and the third. They did an assessment, and they said I had a good life as a kid growing up, and my parent had this job. So I'm gonna do the same thing for my kid, and I'm gonna start earlier prior to my parent, because now I know that this is what I'm looking at down the line. Shout out to those people, because they were smart. They did an assessment on themselves. They did an assessment on where they wanted, what type of life they wanted to have, and they made a great career choice at an earlier age. But I don't know people who this was their dream still. Like they wake up every day and they're like, this is their dream. I know one guy who told me literally that this is his passion. That he loves coming to work. He loves doing his job. If he could do this for 50 years physically, he probably would. If he could do it for 60 years, he probably would. But this is a gentleman who came from a quote unquote third world country, and he came from a situation that was very much harsher than what we deal with in everyday American life. So he's amazed that he gets to do this job every day and make the money that he makes, opposed to what he saw as a kid and what his dad and his grandfather and everyone from his country experienced. So as far as he's concerned, he'd have made it. He in his mind, he's no different than the guy who gets drafted in the first round of whatever professional sport, because most people from where he comes from don't get this far. They don't get to get this type of job, live in this country, make the money that he makes, and do the things that he gets to do. So I understand his motivation and why he loves this job. But like I said, he came from a different environment, a different nation, a different country, different background. I don't know an actual American-born person who this was their dream job. This is literally what they said they wanted to do as their dream.
Let me ask you a question though. Like, how long, like, when y'all all anticipated we came, like, we got on a regular basically, and we looked at the pay scale, and how many people time they tell you, just wait, this patient's gonna come, you're gonna get your money. You know what I mean? You gotta just start your first year, you know, work hard through it. You'll start seeing money increase. You'll start seeing your pay rate go up. How many times you heard that? Us being like first starting the job, how many people say that to you? Like, man, this is it. When I'm gonna get my pay scale, don't worry about it. It's gonna come here. You're not even gonna see it. You're not gonna worry about it. It's nothing to worry about. You're gonna just look at your check one day. You're like, damn, I make this.
Yeah, that's years down the line. Like, I've been in the post office myself as a regular. This is my 5th year as a regular. But as far as when you first become regular, I'm telling you, the paycheck sucks if you ain't on the ODL. If you're not on the overtime desired list, your check's you'll be making $900, $1,000.
At least.
That after taxes, because you know they're gonna kill you in taxes.
Right.
Especially if you ain't got no dependents.
I've said this probably in a previous episode. You know what I mean? Like I said, if you listen to this episode, we talking about the pay grade steps. Hit that like button, comment below, let us know what you think. You know what I mean about where you are in your step. You know what I mean? But I've said this before. An area manager, like when I was still like really young in the post office, he was trying to talk to us, and you know we weren't regulars yet. He was trying to tell us like, hey, you know, look. I guess he was calling himself trying to motivate us, but he was just saying, hey, listen, you know, you're not gonna get rich out of this job. You know, you're not gonna get rich, but you can have a good life. You can put your kids through college, buy a home. He lied. Those of you guys that's in the Philadelphia area, when I do this voice, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He lied. Because you actually can get rich off of this job if you understand how money works.
Yep.
If you understand how economics works. You know what I'm saying? If you understand how finance works. He doesn't understand that. That's why he said what he said. You know what I mean? But this job pays you based on the work you put in. You know what I'm saying? Like, because sadly to say, we're a union-based job, and the person that's at the top in DC or whoever, he's probably not going to be as cutthroat as I would be in terms of negotiating, trying to get us better stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but you gotta take the cards you get dealt. But these are pretty good cards. Granted, they're not aces, they're not jokers in poker. You know what I mean? They're probably kings and queens. You know what I mean? You can make something out of it though. Still,
I say jacks.
Probably a couple jacks. You know what I mean? But if you understand how money works, you can do a lot with this job. You actually can get yourself in different, because guess what? You can invest.
Yeah.
You can invest.
If you know how to make the money work for you, you can definitely get rich.
Yeah, this job is one of those jobs, especially if you're one of these people who you did an assessment on yourself. You're not a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star athlete. You don't got a bunch of D1, possibly D2 schools trying to give you a full ride. You know what I mean? You're not like, you don't have your whole city on smash as far as being a rapper or a singer or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just a regular Joe coming out of high school, if you get this job early, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what you can accomplish as long as you don't have too many children.
Yes. Oh, God.
You know what I mean? As long as you can control yourself, you know what I'm saying? Male or female, I'm talking about. You know what I mean? If you're getting this job young enough, you can make a lot of money early in life. And if you're smart about your finances and your economics, these pay grade, pay scale things, you can map it out how you want to make your moves and be calculative.
Exactly. Not worry about anticipating like when it's gonna come or when the next step gonna be. You're hoping and wishing on the star.
Because we talked about in a previous episode about like when you get like in trouble and like they try to give you a 7-day, 14-day suspension. You know what I mean? I think you guys said like in that previous episode that on these 14-day suspensions, they make you stay home. The 7-day, they don't make you stay home. They make you still work. You know what I mean? But I'm guessing the 14-day, because it's actually a whole pay period, they figure like we're going to punish you by making sure you get a 0 check or, or a low check. They'll teach you blah, 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 blah to make whatever mistake you made. If you're somebody who understands finances, economics, that's just a vacation to some of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But another good decision you can make in a post office is you could be like my man Brando over there and marry another carrier, and we call her the warden.
Yo.
Yeah.
And if y'all both working and y'all both on the ODL and y'all both putting in hours, look, being rich is not that far fetched. Buying a house is extremely
first of all, aren't y'all like on the same step too?
No, she actually is a step in front of me. I am behind
Just
her.
one step. All right, so one step.
Yeah,
so let's put this in perspective, right? Like just for a quick second, like we're not talking about Brando, but we just talking about, because there are actually a lot of carriers who are married to other carriers. Later down the line, or you guys just following On the Route podcast, we're going to have an actual couple here that works in the post office, male and female couple that works in the post office. They're senior carriers. They've been doing this for years. Maxed out, both of them.
Money.
And reason why, and you guys know it, you can comment below. Reason why a lot of people marry other people that are in the post office, because they understand the workload and the commitment that it takes to really maximize this job, right? Sadly to say, there's a lot of sad stories of people going through divorces because their spouse didn't understand how this job works. This job is very demanding. If you're trying to make a lot of money, it takes a lot of your time. And if you're not somebody who understands that as far as the spousal side, it can cause marriage problems. So a lot of people, I'm not calling it a cop-out, but I think it's smart. A lot of people who aren't already married marry somebody who does what we do, because they get it. You know what I mean? And they respect it, actually, more than anything, because it takes a lot of work to really maximize this job.
Yeah, we talking 12-hour days.
Yeah, on a regular. Possibly
6 days a week?
Yeah, possibly 6 days a week. So let's just say, for instance, like he said, like him and his wife were a step apart. Let's just say, for instance, somebody was at step I, you know what I'm saying? They're making $62,000 a year, right? Roughly. Let's say their spouse is at step J, the next step next to them, in front of them. That's $64,000, right? You do the math, that's over $120,000 between the two of them. Yeah. And they both could be just high school graduates.
And that's base.
That's their base salary together as high school graduates, no college experience, no college degrees. They're making over $120,000. Now, on average, now you guys can comment below, like I said earlier, in the city, I know off the rip, we do at least 20 to 30 grand more than what our base is. Yeah. A lot of guys that do a lot of hours. So we're talking about roughly a couple who probably brings in almost close to $300,000 as a couple. $300,000 as a couple, and they're not college graduates, right? That's crazy.
Especially if they're good with money. Oh,
Gee,
boy.
on top, listen, let them understand finance. They could buy a $400,000 home and
And
probably
good credit.
pay it off, in 5 or 6 years on a 30-year mortgage, and then go get another property,
Yep.
and another property, and another property. You understand how this job really can work if you really maximize, if you put in 120% in terms of understanding the job. If you want to be regular, fine, be regular. This job will always provide money for you to be regular and not be below average. But if you really put the time in, the way that all the greats and all their professions put the time in, the Muhammad Ali's, the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe's, the Tigers, Woods, those people that really was obsessive about being excellent, if you take that same initiative with this job, you can maximize a life that people wouldn't even think you would have.
Yep.
Which is kind of a cheat code because no one thinks the mailman is a millionaire in terms of assets.
Exactly.
In terms of assets, you don't think the guy that delivers your mail has 3 or 4 rental properties,
What he do? Just deliver mail.
or he has,
Yep.
or he has, he has like 30% share stock in a company that's worth $1 million. You know what I mean? Or he has 200 shares of Amazon. Like no one thinks that the mail delivery, because he's a blue collar worker, because he looks dirty, because his hat's wrinkled up a little bit, because he's driving that beat up mail truck. That's the perfect cover up. You know what I'm saying?
As a man said, reflection.
And the crazy part about it is a lot of this stuff you technically don't have to be dating or married to anyone in the post office. A lot of this stuff you can do yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
simply if you had a big station that's bad, that get a lot of time, like 30th Street, and you're doing 3 to 4 hours a day, and you're at, middle of the pack in the steps, and like Rick said, if you're at step I and was what, 62, like you
For 64.
and you're doing 3-4 hours a day, you know how much money you're making yearly? You could have just about any house you want.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Like to the guys out there, like that are postal employees, that are married to women that are postal employees. Shout out to the women. Like, and those guys, you guys are smart for picking those women because this is a hard job. Whether you're a carrier or you're a clerk, this is a hard job. Whether you work in the plant as a mail handler, this is a hard job. Even for the people that's in management, that's not the upper levels. Like, this is a hard job. So for you to have a woman that does this job and she's committed and that says a lot about her character.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it says a lot about the type of children you guys are raising or the type of children you guys are having. You know what I mean? Because you never have to worry about your kid being a lazy kid, or your kid not knowing how to grind, or your kid not knowing how to go out here and make something happen because they watch the parents do it every day.
I agree. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they watch the parents go out there and earn it. You know what I mean? And I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people take for granted when you see people that do this job.
It's just one downside to be married or dating another woman, as a carrier and you're a carrier. When y'all go home, the females have a tendency to get physical and beat on the male in the household because, Brandon be coming to work with.
Yo, this boy's telling lies.
Yo,
This boy's telling lies. Yo, this boy's telling lies. Oh
He
my
come
god.
to work
man.
and be like, she beats me.
No such thing. No such thing. Dude.
No, but it's definitely a good thing because being with somebody that does the same job and understand, like, everything else is that much easier after that because, most common stories about breakups or divorce is always what? Money.
mm-hmm.
So that is, you had literally eliminated that with just you, a male carrier, being with another female carrier. It's gone.
Me personally, like, I'm glad that my wife doesn't do this job because I know how this job is and how they talk to people and how they handle craft employees. And I'm one of them people where it's like I probably would lose my job if my wife had this job because the way they talk to people, I'm not going for that. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I don't blame you because the way they talk to us, like even if it wasn't somebody I was dating, even if it was my sister or my mom, and one of them supervisors said something out of pocket, like somebody said, called my mom in there to the in the office for a PDI, and I hear somebody yelling, I'm coming in the office. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and
what? Hold on, no. Say what you gotta say, brother.
no, I'm not nothing at all, sir.
Nah, I don't.
Don't hold back now.
But they gave me an idea. Remember, we heard this yesterday, or no, not the other day, where we had a guy that told us that his brother was in management.
Oh, yeah.
When her mom was still a carrier, and his brother gave his mom a PDI.
What?
The brother was like, hey mom, this happened, blah blah blah. I got you PDI. You gotta come in the office. Like legit gave his mom a PDI. Yo, in the comments below, I want you guys to tell us: have you ever seen a scenario where like family members worked at the same station, and like one side was on management and the other side was like in craft, and like the other person had to check the other person? Like, did the father have to give the son a PDI or vice versa? Or like did the brother have to give the brother or the sister a PDI? Like, this was a real story that happened. Like, the dude gave his mom a PDI, and she looked at him like, you gotta be kidding me. Like you only doing this job because of me, for one.
You life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I pushed you out after 9 months. You had the life you had because I did this job. You're really bringing me in the office right now. I said, that was gangster. I said, he was trying to be a postmaster, whoever that person was.
Oh, he's trying to get his pay scale low. He's trying to get
Yeah, he was trying to let whoever his bosses know, they listen. This postal thing is this is tattooed on my body.
Said,
I gave my mother a PDI. I'm not playing.
I'm gonna tell you this much. I'm sure his mom looked at him at the end of that PDI and said, this year a shot for you. Well, what do you mean? No Christmas, no Thanksgiving, no birthdays.
Oh yeah. She told him don't even wake up on Christmas. Just lay in your dribble and let it marinate.
Oh, God, sir.
You gonna give me a PDI? Nigga, you wearing them pants because of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, man. Like, what pay scale was she looking at? Like, he was like, look, he said, if I give my mom a PDI, I know they can move the state pay scale right here. I'm going from A to then on to EFG. Look, man, I'm so dedicated. I give my own damn mother that PDI. Give me my money. Give me my pay scale.
Oh God, he's ruthless. He gave his own mom a PDI. Like,
And I had somebody once give me this advice, and it was just their opinion. So I'm just going to regurgitate what they said. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form to do this. I don't want you guys trying to message us later, like 5-6 years down the line. Rick Shine, you said I should do my TSP is only this, that, and the third. But they told me, the person who was a senior person in the job told me that when you get to that point in your career where you're 20 years in and you know you're only doing 30 years in the job, increase your TSP, max it out for those last 10 years so you can really get the most oomph out of it. He didn't recommend doing it earlier in your career because you have a life, you have kids, you have a wife, you have bills you have to pay, you have probably properties you're still trying to pay off. He's saying that roughly by your 20th year in the postal service, you shouldn't have that many bills. Your bills should be very minimal because you paid everything off properly. So he was saying, like, max your TSP out. Whatever the max percentage is at that point in time, just do it. And just rock out for 10 years with it like that. So that way you can really get some oomph on the back of your TSP. Oomph meaning the full payback. Because, the post office matches whatever you put up. So, to the people out there that's, doing this job, it's new. If no one's ever given you any advice about your TSP, that was the advice that I was given. I'm giving it to you guys. I'm kind of on the fence. I think I might try that when I get to that point. You know what I mean? Because I do expect myself to not have that many bills and that many things I'm paying for at year 20. You know what I mean? But that was just some jewels I thought I'd throw out there because that, once again, it goes back to what we said earlier about understanding finance, understanding economics, and how to maximize all things you can out of this job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
20 years you'll be well past maxed out, so you should be able to afford it, especially if you're on an ODL. You should be able to do it.
Yeah. So before we get up out of here, as always, my brothers said have the last words.
It's B Morton. Oh, I'm sorry. It's B Morton, baby. You know, just watch that pay scale, and I mean, like I said, don't keep looking at it. You making your dough like you're supposed to, it really won't affect you. Just keep, as they say, keep eating your money. What you gotta do. But hey,
this is Black, and Brandon stepped on my toes. It really hurt.
Sorry,
All right, don't worry about it, man. Everybody step on a foot every once in a while.
we know about that.
As a carrier or any craft employee, always keep an eye on your pay scale step, because, like I said, my brothers, had a problem in the post office where he didn't move up a scale for like a year or so, or maybe 2. He was telling me, because we should be at the same step, but he's a step behind me, and we have the same anniversary date. So, be mindful. Go on Light Blue. Go to e-payroll. Click on that little blue symbol next to your paid hours, and you'll be able to see your salary and step. Then make sure you keep an eye on it. Calculate your steps depending on how many years you be, because the year you in will tell you the letter you should be at and how much you should be making. And also pay attention to your hours, because even though we got virtual time card, that John's not always right. People, management mess with your time all the time. So pay attention to your money. Live a good life, have fun, because with this job you can. And this is Black, and we out here.
And to piggyback off of what he just said, I remember I was told when I first started that it's best to write your time down, so that way you can always, backlog if there's a problem or a mistake. I took that to heart. I've been in this job about almost 9 years, and I literally have written down every day I've ever worked. I can tell you what time I got off on June 2nd, 2015. You know what I mean? If there's a 6 day or annual day that you have to use, when you call out or do what you have to do, you write down the account number that goes with that call out. So that way they can find it too, just in case they can't find it. So it pays, like he said, to be very diligent, because you're here to get paid. Be diligent to make sure that everything is aligned the way it's supposed to be. Nobody wants to get cheated, financially, especially as hard as this job is. If I'm at step H, I better be at step H. Next year, I better be at step I. I'm not trying to look and see I'm still at step H. You know what I mean? You have to pay attention to these things. It's important, because if you don't say nothing, they ain't going to say nothing.
Yep.
So this is your engineer, Rick Shine, signing off, trying to stay low-key, doing a horrible job at it. If you like this episode, hit that like button. Please comment below. Let us know how you guys feel. What step are you on? You know what I mean? You feel like you should be getting paid more? You know what I mean? Do you like being utility because of the extra money, or do you feel like you're getting robbed because the amount of work you do? Let us know, man. You know what I mean? I think it's important for people to air out their grievances with their fellow employees, just to kind of clear the air. Because sometimes you need people to talk to that do what you do, to understand where you're coming from. And that's what this pod is about. You know what I mean? Having that open floor, open discussion, non-judgment too. You know what I mean? Because we all do the same thing. We all working for the same company. We go through the same struggles.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think it's good for the mental health of all of us to actually bond together. You know what I'm saying? So be safe out there. And if you're a carrier, like I always say, be safe on the route.
It ain't never safe on the route.